My husband, 59, and I, 53, have been together for 10 years, married 8. My kids and I stayed with him for about 3 months after we met. He was behind on all his bills and I took over all household expenses except the mortgage, $550 a month. I had a decent career and could almost afford to do this, but I lost my small house because I couldn't afford to keep it and pay the other expenses. He filed a quit claim when we married, legally adding me to his property deed. Last year he was offered a job 2 states away. The kids were grown and moved out, so I resigned from my position. We sold the house and have been living in a travel trailer on campgrounds in our new state. We used the proceeds from the sale to buy 2 decent used vehicles, the older model camper we live in, and put the rest in a savings account in my name because no bank will give him an account due to past banking history. We plan to use this to buy property in our new state when we found what we wanted. I found a job making much less than my previous and net about $700 every 2 weeks. His hourly is 2.5 times mine. He still pays no living expenses, and I've had to use a bit of our monthly savings to keep everything paid. The lot rent alone is $800. He's recently started his 4th job since we moved. A month after getting his 3rd job, he told them he was looking for a new one and they let him go. He had nothing lined up and has gone 6 weeks with no paycheck. I put fuel in his truck, bought him tobacco and kept the bills paid. Friday morning I was leaving to visit my kids in our home state. After leaving for work, he texted and told me to leave him $100 and that he'd be paid on Monday. I only carry a little cash. Knowing at most he only needed fuel for the 30 miles to work Monday morning, I left the $15 I had and headed out. About halfway there, I got another text message that said they were holding his first check and I needed to give him $500 for the week. He got very angry when I didn't turn around and go back to give him the cash I didn't have, and he told me to stay the heck up there. When I got to our home state, I sent him $175 of the $200 in my checking account via Western Union because it was an instant transfer versus 3 or 4 days from a bank account. He called and cussed me out, saying it wasn't enough to get him through the week, even though he's only working 3 days due to a holiday. He again demanded I send him $500. I said $190 should be plenty for fuel, and he again told me not to bother coming back. He said that since I blew $500 over Labor Day for my share of airfare, hotel and rental car to travel with my 2 oldest children, 32 and 30, to attend the unexpected funeral of their father, I owe him that much from savings. Am I the idiot for refusing to send him more than he could need, and almost as much as I bring home in 2 weeks, knowing he isn't paying any bills? Honey, your husband has told you to stay away and I think you should listen to him. Even though he's financially abusive, in telling you to stay away from him, he is giving you sound advice. You need to take control of your own life immediately. Not the idiot for not sending money. You will be if you go back. Do exactly what your husband told you to and stay away. It's his attempt to make her panic and get her back under his control. Unfortunately, I think it's going to work and her life will go on this way, and she will be an old lady with nothing because she gave it all to this tyrant. This dude sounds like a total loser. He can't manage his finances, his history is so bad that he can't even get a bank account, and he can't keep a job. OP, he said it to keep you feeling guilty so you feel like you owe him all this, but I think he won't expect you to take his stay there command seriously. And please, for your happiness and good, take it seriously. I think it is indeed the best choice to stay away from him. This financial abuse will end now, and it's not easy at all leaving a situation like this, but try to, OP. Get your career back on track and use your share of the house sale to get a home wherever works best for you and cut this loser loose. You gave up everything to be with this sponge to the detriment of your family. I hope you realize that one day soon. My wife, 29, and I, 30 male, held a gender reveal for our first child yesterday. It was my wife's idea since she, her parents and others wanted to know the gender. I don't care what gender is as long as it's healthy. My mother-in-law and father-in-law wanted it to be a boy because they always wanted a son but had 2 daughters instead. My wife also wanted it to be a boy, but only because of her parents. She didn't care much either way. It was a small gathering with just a few friends and close family members. After it was revealed that the baby was a girl, my mother-in-law walked away and got very upset, and my father-in-law looked disappointed. After around 10 minutes, I went into the garden to see my mother-in-law crying. I asked her what was wrong, and she said that she really wanted a grandson. I told her I was sorry she was disappointed, but it didn't matter that much, and she got annoyed at me. At this point, my father-in-law had joined us and heard what I said to her. He told me that I should be sad too, since I wouldn't be able to teach the baby about cars. I'm a mechanic, and I joked a few times about getting the baby to follow in my footsteps. I told him she might be interested in cars when she's older, so I don't understand how that's relevant. They were saying many things about what they can't do now because she's a girl, like taking her to sports games and teaching her about sports. They said that I'll be missing out on giving a son the talk and girls. I don't really care that much about that, but what if the baby likes girls? So their argument is pretty weak. They said a few other things about why they wanted her to be a boy, but I just walked away and returned inside. My mother-in-law and father-in-law explained the whole argument to my wife, and she got really angry at me. She said that I should have comforted them and had at least a bit of sympathy. I just don't understand why the gender is such a big deal. Shouldn't they just be happy they're getting a grandchild? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If a granddaughter is such a big disappointment that grandma would cry about it, OMG, holy overreaction, Batman, then maybe the grandparents just don't see their granddaughter very much. At all. What a toxic, misogynistic family. Make it crystal clear you never want any of this kind of gender bias spoken of around your children. In-laws need to grow up. Set your wife straight, too. Ridiculous. The sad thing is, wife, likely grew up consoling her parents for being a girl. I had a friend like this who grew up with tremendous guilt for not being the son they needed. OP, if you happen to have a second child, and the gender of that child is male, your mother-in-law and father-in-law may be showing blatant favoritism. You'll need to iron it out with them if that scenario happens. And make sure your wife doesn't continue the nonsense into the next generation of putting limits on your baby daughter as her parents put on her. Have you comfort them for what? It's a baby and it's yours and their daughter's. They should be delighted. If they wanted a boy, they should at most be slightly disappointed. They're instead assigning gender roles and moaning because girls can't do X, girls can't do Y, etc. They don't deserve comfort or sympathy for placing imaginary limits on your daughter. This implies they did the same to your wife. Seriously, there are so many flags in that family. My 35 male sister died 3 weeks ago. My wife had only met her once since she lived pretty far away, and every time I went to see her, my wife didn't come. My dad told me that she died and told me when her funeral was. I travelled down for the funeral, and I told my wife I was going to see my sister, which wasn't really a lie. A few days after I got back home, my brother called my wife and told her to check up on me since I hadn't been answering his calls and texts. I guess she asked why he was so worried, and my brother told her about my sister dying. My wife got really upset at me for not telling her, and she said that I couldn't trust her and that I should talk to her instead of bottling up my feelings. I explained that I didn't tell her because I knew she'd worry and expect me to talk about how I felt. It's very sweet of her to worry about me, but she doesn't need to. It's like she doesn't understand that I don't need to talk about how I feel, unlike her. She's barely spoken to me since she said that she feels betrayed. I didn't mean to upset her so much, I just didn't want to deal with her constant worrying. Am I the idiot? I don't want to deal with her worrying about my grief, so I'll make her and the rest of my family worry about the health of our marriage instead. God, right? Sorry for your loss, OP, but you are the idiot in this situation. I'm sitting here incredulous that this guy didn't think his wife should be included. What the heck? All I can assume is that they have an awful marriage. Why else wouldn't you exclude your spouse from a significant life event like this? By trying to avoid the situation, OP has created a new one, and worse. You can try to bury a bomb, but it will still explode. Dude, how could you not tell your wife something as important as, my sister died? You got the news, made travel plans, travelled, went to a funeral, came home, and at no time told your spouse that a member of your immediate family passed away. Whether you were close to your sister or not, that's a significant thing to deal with without sharing it with your spouse. You lied by omission when you said you weren't going to see your sister and chose not to include that it was for her funeral. And if I were your wife, I'd wonder how many other major things you've chosen not to tell me. I can't imagine being so emotionally constipated that I don't even tell the person I'm supposed to love and trust as much as I would espouse something like this. Yeah, my personal life isn't your business is an odd attitude towards one's wife. I don't think OP is trying to be an idiot, but man, get therapy. This is profoundly unhealthy, and it sounds like their wife just found out that the metaphorical house of their marriage, which she believed to be structurally sound, is 70% wood rot by volume. When my son Josh was 16, he and his girlfriend Chloe told my wife and me that they were expecting a baby. We were reasonably concerned and upset, but supported the two in whatever they wanted to do. They decided they wanted to keep the baby. Chloe's parents were not supportive and kicked her out of the house. We had her move in with us. My wife and I developed a close bond with her as we helped her prepare for the baby. After the birth of their daughter, Bryn, Chloe and Josh lived with us until they were 22. As they were so young, we helped a lot those first few years as they got their GEDs, went to trade school, etc. It was not an easy road, but it made us all closer. I consider Chloe the daughter I never had. They're now 25 and Bryn is a tween. Last year, Chloe's parents got in contact with her and said that they were sorry, they wanted to be in their lives, etc. Josh and Chloe chose to let them into their daughter's life hesitantly. They've played the part of overcompensating grandparents who try to pretend no time has passed. Bryn is healthy, safe and loved, that's all that matters. They've been standoffish with my wife and I. I feel they're jealous and maybe insecure about how close we are to Chloe and Bryn. We've tried to arrange for times to talk, outings where all four of us can be with Bryn, etc., but they always rebuff. So we've settled to be polite and kind, getting along with them for Bryn, Chloe and Josh's benefit. Chloe and Josh have recently announced they're getting married. She asked me to walk her down the aisle. She explained that while her dad is too, she'd love to have her other dad with her. I was touched. She has called me Papa Sam for a while now and my wife Mama Carol, but I still didn't expect this. I accepted. Now Chloe's dad refuses to walk her down the aisle because I will. He says I'm encroaching on a precious moment between him and his daughter. I said I would if Chloe wanted me to walk her. Chloe has said she doesn't want me to step down and wants her dad there. I've said I'll support what she wants. She's remained firm that she wants to find a way to get her dad on board, so we'll walk her. Chloe's mom said I should step down because of course Chloe won't ask me to. I commented how I'd be just as much of a deadbeat as they were for so long. This made her and her husband angry. My wife feels I fueled this drama and should just step down so Chloe can have her parents there. I've said I won't until Chloe asks me to step down. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. He just doesn't want to have to explain to people while Chloe is getting walked down the aisle by two people and he's trying to blackmail her with refusing to walk her down the aisle and he's throwing a temper tantrum now that you're not abiding by his demands. A guy like this will probably cave in the end. It's clear that he's the kind of person who cares a lot about putting on a good face, and it'll look even worse for him if he's not even walking her down at all. Exactly. You've stood up for this girl since she was 16, and I see no reason for you to stop now. You walk her down the aisle and keep a strong, loving male role model in her life. You and your wife have my total admiration. You are genuinely caring people. I hope the wedding goes well. They are trash parents who do not deserve such a wonderful daughter and granddaughter. It is Chloe's choice, so you should always respect that. I would also suggest you be on guard as they will try to remove you and your wife's voice in all the wedding planning and will possibly try to agitate the whole situation, seeking to have you removed from the wedding. Chloe's parents kicked her out at 16. They deserve to feel bad. Let these people choke on their shame. Congrats to your son and Chloe, as well as you and yours. I just had my beautiful baby girl Willow. Our family's tradition is to announce the name just when the baby is born, so everyone found out just 8 days ago. I believe Willow is such a beautiful name and so is my partner, but we got very mixed reactions from our families. Some people liked it as well, but so many people say I just as well could have named my baby Tree and it would have been the same. Especially my older sister keeps telling me that I ruined my baby's future by giving her a tree name, and that she'll be bullied and won't get any respect when she grows up. I feel incredibly guilty. Will this name have these ramifications? Am I the idiot? Edit, she has twins called Rosalie and Annalie. Oh, I knew she was the type to name their kids with the dreaded Lee or Lynn at the end of all the names. That's the real tragedy. Willow is a beautiful name. It's not a decision some of your family get to make. Maybe politely suggest that when they have their children, they can call them what they want. I love names that take after nature. Willow, elm, birch, autumn. Not the idiot. Oh gosh, people always pull out the "they will get bullied" line. It's ridiculous. Willow is absolutely lovely. Don't worry about it. It's not your family's decision. Your daughter won't be bullied for being named after a tree by any kid. Maybe her aunt, but not by anyone else. Willow really is a beautiful name, and it's also a real name, unlike, I don't know, Apple or whatever. It's definitely not a tree name. It's so disrespectful to you, your husband, and your child to make such a scene because of that. If they don't like it, that's totally fine, but general manners are not to insult a newborn's name. Your sister for sure is an idiot, and not a small one at that. Future name ideas: birch, ginkgo, banyan, maple. Also, when you refer your daughter to her, call her your little sapling. I feel like that could really grind her gears.